All right, so here we go. We are in our third week of our series called Level Up. Let me ask you guys, can you run it with me? I don't have my iPad up here this morning. Can you run it for me?
Yeah.
This evening. I don't even know what day it is. It's been a long week. All right, so here's where we're gonna start. It's semi-serious, but how many of you have actually seen someone's life change? Whether they were like about to die and then somebody came along and helped them and then now they're alive, whether it was like a car accident or something, or you've just seen like a radical transformation in somebody's life. Has anybody ever seen that before? All right, a couple people. Now I want you guys to imagine with me. Imagine you're at the scene of a car accident and there's a person there. You're not afraid of anything that's happening, so you're not afraid of blood or anything like that. But you're able to go in and you're able to save that person's life, or at least help in the process to where when the paramedics come, they can come and do their thing. How would you feel after that? Like, there'd probably be some nerves. It'd probably be like, oh my goodness, cannot believe that happened. But there's also like something that's just kind of like, holy cow, this person's alive and I got to take part of this. This is really cool. I've had it on several occasions to where we're not talking life and death physically, but even life and death spiritually, to where I had a student when I was in college. I was a camp counselor, and there was a student there. His name was Casey. His parents sent him to camp for 3 straight weeks. The camp that I was at was a 1-week camp. They ended up paying for 3 weeks, so he had to stay for 3 weeks. And his parents told me, they're like, hey, here's our son Casey. He's going to be in your cabin. I'm like, oh, great. Hey, Casey, how you doing? And his father then took me aside and says, if he doesn't listen to you, or if he doesn't turn around his attitude, we're sending him away to one of those boot camps to where they like scare the team straight. And he says, we hope that you can have an effect on his life. And then he walks away, and I'm just like, what? And I mean, this kid, I had him actually all 3 weeks, or no, I had him the first week and the third week. No, first and second week, I apologize. I couldn't remember how it went.
Right.
But I haven't, I know, I'm getting old now. All right. So I had him the first and second week. The first week, I was actually scared to talk to him. Have you ever like seen some of those students, some of those people who there's just so much anger in their eyes that like you just start a conversation with them and you feel like you're gonna melt just from the heat coming off of them from the anger. And you're just like, hey, I remember in lunch, like I was gonna go get some ice cream, like, hey, do you want some ice cream? It's like a good thing to say to someone, right? And I thought I might die in that moment. He's just such an angry kid. And I can remember we're just praying for him, nothing. So we hit Thursday of the second week. It's running down towards the end of time. And by this point, like, I've kind of had enough of him. He's been starting fights in the cabin. He has been, like, everything that he had to say to me, you know, even if it was, like, I'm trying to be nice to him, or like, hey, do you want some ice cream? Hey, I'm going to go down to the snack shack and get something. Can I pay for a snack for you? Like, he cuts me out for, like, that kind of stuff. It was nuts. And so I'm kind of done with him at this point. And I can remember just sitting there with him, talking with him at one point, and I had another counselor with me, and he finally, we're just kind of shooting the breeze, talking about whatever, and he looks at me, and then he looks at the other counselor and says, why do you take this God stuff so seriously? Now, I can remember just looking at the other counselor, because we had been praying for him for 2 straight weeks that he would just even be open to having a conversation, and he was just stone cold, angry about everything. And it was the coolest thing, because that very afternoon in our cabin, we ended up talking with Casey about Jesus, and he ended up trusting Jesus as a Savior. And you would see the change in his eyes. So where the anger, he still had a lot to deal with. There was still a lot of stuff that we ended up kind of finding out that was happening at home, to where there was a lot of trauma and a lot of things. But the anger in his eyes just started to melt away. It was weird. He went with another cabin. And like that counselor was talking to me, like, yeah, he's like one of the best kids we have. Like he's like all excited. He's like getting into stuff, and I'm just like, what? Like This kid literally went from in his eyes, it was death. And he went to life. As a college student, like that still sticks with me today. Seeing someone go from death to life, being part of a changed life, seeing a changed life. It was absolutely awesome. And as a youth pastor, it's something that is on my heart. For those of you guys who are followers of Jesus, I would love it if you could experience that and see it. And here's the funny thing. It's not just me. Not only all of our youth leaders, we'd love for you to experience that and see that and be part of that. But it's actually something that God himself, as he is drawing people to himself, he wants you to be able to see and experience and be part of life that goes, or a life that has been brought from death to where now they are alive. And he wants you to be able to experience that joy. Do you know the excitement and the passion and the joy that I felt in that moment was actually greater than almost any other joy and excitement and passion that I felt in my life. Like, it's not often that you get to see a person go from death to life, to see a life just so radically changed. And yet God has actually put us here on earth for that purpose. And when we're talking about leveling up, taking that next step in our life, taking that next step in who God wants us to be. God actually wants your joy and your happiness. But he says, this is the path. And you know what? Sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes it's tough. But if you're a follower of Jesus, that means you're a disciple. You can put that first one up on the screen. We talked about this last week. Every believer is a disciple. And every disciple is a disciple maker. God's issued this as a command. But it's not a command to where it's like, I need you to do this or else. He's saying, I want you to do this. Not because you have to, but because you get to. And I want you to be able to experience it. I want you to be able to see it. I want you to be able to know it. Because it's greater than anything that you're going to experience here on earth. To see people go from death to life. Now, I know as we're talking about this can sound a little strong, it can sound a little crazy. And for some of you, even as you're thinking about this, you might go and talk to friends. You might even be thinking about this yourself. Why on earth would we want to share as Christians? If you're a follower of Jesus, why on earth would we even want to share this? There's a couple of things I've shared with them before, but as followers of Jesus, we actually believe there's a real heaven and a real hell. And everyone spends forever in one place or the other. We actually believe that. And Jesus said what you decide about him determines where you go. And what place you go isn't about how good you are, but who or what you trust in. And so if we believe these things to be true, we should want to share. In the busyness of today, I actually had a video that I was going to show, and I completely forgot to upload it in. Maybe, guys, if you have some time while you're back there, it's in the shared folder under videos. It's a video of Penn Jillette. How many of you guys know who Penn Jillette is? All right. I think he's kind of funny at times. He's what I appreciate about him is he is very honest. Now, if you know anything about him, he's a magician. He does stuff in Vegas. You know, Penn and Teller. He talks. Teller does it. You know what I'm talking about? He's got the long hair. But Penn is actually a devout atheist, like devout, and actually an evangelistic atheist. He wants other people to become atheists. He's actually written several books about how there is no God. In the video that we were going to show, he actually shares about an experience. To where after one of his shows, there was like a VIP guest that was coming. The guy was a Christian, and he came and he was just very polite, very kind, talking to Penn Jillette. And he said, hey, listen, I know you wrote that book that there is no God, but I just want to give you this and just let you know, hey, if you have any questions, I'd love to talk with you about it, but like I don't want to push on you, but I'd love to listen and share with you a little bit about it. Were you able to find that video?
Yeah.
You want to put it up? Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see what he has to say about it.
Nope. Don't do that. And
It's coming in a
Stop
second.
breaking things.
Don't worry.
now. And now.
You need me to walk back?
Come on.
Here you go.
And I won't reset, you know.
You gotta turn the output off. On purpose,
Jazz.
there it is. suspense makes it better, or it's just gonna flop terribly, so. I know. You were like Casey in this moment, you'd be cursing me out, I don't know if you know.
I don't respect people who don't proselytize. I don't respect
Oh.
that at all. If you believe that there's a heaven and hell, and people,
What, Ian? Ian, stop closing it. Stop.
Maybe you should turn it back off.
No, no, no.
Alright.
and I've always said, that I don't respect people who don't proselytize. I don't respect that at all. If you believe that there's a heaven and hell, and people could be going to hell, or not getting eternal life, or whatever, and you think that, well, it's not really worth telling them this because it would make it socially awkward. And atheists who think that people shouldn't proselytize, just leave me alone, keep your religion to yourself. How much do you have to hate somebody to not proselytize? How much do you have to hate somebody to believe that everlasting life is possible and not tell them that? I mean, if I believed, without a shadow of a doubt, that a truck was coming at you and you didn't believe it, that truck was bearing down on you, there's a certain point where I tackle you, and this is more important than that. And I've always thought that, and I've written about that, I've thought of it conceptually.
That's a pretty stunning statement from an atheist. Now, not every atheist would agree with him on that, but I think he's right. Do we actually care about people enough to where we would want to share the hope that we have? If heaven is real and hell is real and everyone will spend eternity somewhere, and what we decide about Jesus determines where we go. And it's not about how good we are, but who we trust in. And we go, I think some of the reasons that we'll talk about in a minute, some of the fears, some of the, I just don't know what to say. I think if we let those things get in the way, in essence what we're saying is, my own fears are actually more important than your eternity. And it's a pretty strong statement that he makes. How bad do you have to hate someone to not tell them about it? It's a strong statement, but here's the reality. God wants us to be able to step in. He wants us to be able to know, and he wants us to share. Not because we can change someone, he's the one that changes. So we don't have to walk in with that pressure of, that guy that handed him a Bible, he didn't have to walk in with the pressure of, now I need to change his atheist heart. He just needed to share the hope that he had within him. And do it. One of the things, it wasn't in the video, but one of the things that Pendulette, he said, this guy was normal, and he was just honest, and he was kind. And he shared about Jesus. He said that deeply impressed him, because he said sometimes people, they're not normal. They just get weird real fast. Like this guy, he was nice, he was kind, he was normal. But it's part of who he was, and he deeply respected it. Do you know, I bet you there's some of your friends that if you started to share with them, they would actually respect the fact that you would stand up, not only for what you believe in, but that you'd be willing to actually share. There's some that won't. That's guaranteed. But I think you might even be surprised. If you got your Bibles, turn to Matthew chapter 28. And one of the questions I want us to ask tonight is we're thinking, why don't I get involved in changing a life? Why don't I get involved? But this is what God calls us to. If it's one of the most exciting experiences on the face of the earth, it might tell us if we don't think it's exciting that we might actually be viewing something wrong. And that God's got to do a work in our heart on it. But why don't we get involved? There's 3 reasons that we're going to go over tonight, and you might be able to talk about more, but we're going to go through these fast. One is fear. Fear. We're afraid of what the other person might think. We're afraid of what the other person might do. We're afraid of what it might do to our relationship. But think about this. Matthew chapter 28, verse 18. If you have your Bibles, if you're using one of ours, page 698. This is verse 18. It says, then Jesus came to them and said, all authority in heaven and earth has been given to me. In other words, I have all the power. pretty strong statement, isn't it? When we fear other people, what do we think they have over us? Power. And what does Jesus say in this moment? I have all the power. I need you guys to understand that. As he's talking to his disciples, he goes on and he says, therefore, since I have all the power, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and Son and the Holy Spirit, and teach them to obey everything I've commanded you. And surely you'll go out and do this all alone by yourself. No. That's not what it says. And surely I will be with you to the end of the age. The person with the most power will be with you to the end of the age. Last night, Eli comes out. It's past his bedtime. He was supposed to be in bed. He comes out of bed, kind of in tears. He comes over to Abby and I. We're sitting on the couch. And he's just like, I had a nightmare. I'm scared. And Eli's been trying to stay up later, so like as good loving parents, I was just like, you're not scared. Go back to bed. So I hear him go crawl back into bed, and I hear him start whimpering and crying. So I get in, and I'm like, hey, buddy, are you okay? He's like, I had a bad dream. I'm scared. The dream had power over his actions, didn't it? The fear of what could happen, the fear of what might happen, the fear of what he's experiencing. But I sat down in bed, and then I crawled up next to him. I lied down, and I just kind of whispered in his ear, and I said, I'm here with you, buddy. I love you. I'm happy you're my son. And I'm glad that I get to be here with you right now. I just want you to go to sleep, but I want you to know I'm here. And I love you. You know what he did? He smiled, he closed his eyes, and he was fast asleep. You know, I think sometimes when we see Jesus saying, I have all the power, he's not just saying it to flex his muscles. I think he's saying it because he knows, hey, I'm going to send you out to do something, and you might be scared. And there might be some real things that you have fear over. But I'm here with you. I have more power than you. I'm never going to leave you. See, where my story falls apart was as soon as Eli fell asleep, I got out of there. I'm gone. But as we talked about last week, who's with us always as followers of Jesus? Who's in us, or 2 weeks ago? Holy Spirit's there, giving you power to be able to do this because Christ is with you always. We don't have to fear. But most of the time, we don't think about that when we're facing fear. What do we think about? Just what the other people are thinking, or what the other people might say. Most of the time, actually, isn't even true. We just go worst case scenario. I don't have time for this, but little tactical tips. You want to set a conversation up? Go in and say, hey, I had some really rough news that I want to talk to you about. You know what the person on the other side of the conversation does? They immediately think of the worst case scenario. And then when you deliver the news, like, I got a C on a test. You know, you go to your parents, I got something I got to talk to you about. I need you to brace yourself. It's pretty rough. And then you tell them, I got a C on a test. Your parents are like, you're like, wait, what? That's it? Okay, all right. Most of the time, the dreams that we think of about other people, they're far worse than they actually are. So don't let fear control it. Also, some of us struggle with finding people. We don't know who to share with. We'll talk about this a little bit in groups, but we think we got to find everyone. You see everyone around you, like, I don't even know where to start. Here's the funny thing. When Jesus was giving the disciples some direction, when he was sending them out to share, this is what he told them. I learned this probably about 6 months ago. It changed my perspective on everything. He says, when you enter a house, first say, peace to this house. And if someone who promised, or if someone who promotes peace is there, your peace will rest on them. If not, it will return to you. In other words, he's saying, go and start with the person who's a person of peace. They're at least open to some of what you're talking about. Most of the time we start and we're like, all right, how's this going to work? Like, you can talk with anybody. That's fine. But one of the things that Jesus told his disciples, hey, start with this person. Start with the person who's actually a little bit open. And then go from there. Because what you're going to find is that person when they come to Christ, all those people that they know, they start to see a change and they start to have influence on them. So Jesus says, start with one. Start with one. Don't have the list of like thousands of people that you feel like I got to talk with everybody. Just start with one. And you know, God has put you in the path of a bunch of people: family, neighbors, schoolmates, kids in your clubs or in sports teams. God's put you in their path for a reason. In groups, we're going to ask you just write down the first 5 names of people that you're thinking about, and maybe start there. Maybe the prayer is, God, bring to me or show me a person of peace, to where they're actually searching and they're actually open, and open my eyes to who they might be. And you start there. So finding people. Here's the last one. They don't know how to share. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to say it. I don't know where to start. A couple of quick pointers, and we'll talk about this more actually in 2 weeks. Listen. Listen to them. Most of the time we enter into a conversation, if we're thinking about sharing Jesus, we're thinking, all right, I got to get in. There's like some sort of speech that I got to have. I got to share. What I find with Jesus is most of the time when he enters into conversations, he starts with a question and then listens to what the answer is. Because Jesus actually cares about that person. He's not just caring about, hey, I got to get this speech done so that like, you can come and I can check it off and like we're like all good because like this is what's going to make me happy. No, it's I legitimately care about you and I'm going to listen. And I might find I need to listen to you this conversation and then listen to you in the next conversation, and then 3 conversations later, I might be able to actually start to ask and share a little bit of my story. But I need to actually show and take time and be patient and sacrifice even of myself to be able to listen to you because I care about you. And even if God never opens the door to where we get the opportunity for me to share, I need to listen because I care about you. And so listen. And then after you've taken time to listen, after you've heard their story, then share your story. Share the story of your life based on some of the details maybe that they're talking about. You know, hey, I've dealt with that too. You know, but let me tell you something that's got me through. God did this in my life. And you tell a story about before Jesus, the turning point when you met Jesus, and then after Jesus, what's happening. And you're honest about that. How many of you guys, if you've met Jesus, how many of you are like, yep, everything's been perfect after this? Good, nobody raised their hands. But sometimes I think like in a sales pitch type way, like you meet Jesus, it's going to be awesome. Like it is awesome, but like it's still tough. I still deal with things. But I know the one with power is actually there with me. And we're honest with people. I think we need to take time to listen. We need to share our story with God, or about how we came to God, and then share some of God's story, how he came to us. And we'll talk about that in a couple of weeks. But I love this with Paul, when he was talking about coming to the church in Corinth, and he's trying to share with them. He said, and so it was with me, brothers and sisters, when I came to you, I did not come with excellence of speech or wisdom, as I proclaimed to you the testimony about God. How often do we think, I gotta have the right thing to say, I gotta make it sound good, I gotta the pitch has gotta be great. And Paul, probably the greatest person who ever shared Jesus with the world. He was the best at it of everybody. He's like, yeah, I didn't come with awesome language. I didn't come with high religious language. I wasn't coming trying to figure out how to convert you. I just proclaimed the testimony about who God was. Sometimes we don't know what to say because we put so much pressure on ourselves to say something that God hasn't even intended for us to say. Sometimes it's just about sharing the story. And so, as we think about this, why don't we share? Why don't we enter into the joy that God has for us? Because of fear. It's because of maybe we don't understand that God's placed some people around us, but we don't think about it. And maybe we don't know what to say, but we can work on that. If I can leave you with one thing, it'd be this quote. I share because I care. Would that be the theme in your life? I share because I care. Do we actually care? You know, I had mentioned about the Christmas party. We're doing something drastically different this year for Christmas. Like most of the time we have very nice Christmas parties, kind of like a home family feel, and we're here. But we're even taking something that we do well and something that's exciting for us, and we are doing something completely different with it. And here's the reason why. We're sacrificing what we like and what is probably really cool for us for the sake of others. We're going to provide a Christmas party for another group that probably would never have a Christmas party like this. And we're going to come with the intention of listening. Hey, can I get to know you? Hey, let's do this stuff together. And that's going to be our intention in coming. We're going to go and have some fun. Yeah, we're going to go and do some stuff. But imagine what would happen if we actually sacrificed and went and did that. And listen, I know, it's a sacrifice. I really enjoy our Christmas parties here. They're kind of fun. I like the way we do them. And to do it this way, which is actually going to be more helpful for some of the groups that we're going to be coming together and trying to care about, and some of the teenagers, like it's a sacrifice for me. But even some of the most sacred things that we hold, even some of the most deepest traditions we have, are we willing to sacrifice those things or extend those out to other people so that they can see and know who God is through us? And I was thinking about it this week too. Sometimes we need to sacrifice, and we need to sacrifice important dates. And so we're sacrificing the Christmas party this year to go out and serve others. But one of the things that we have done in our family, just because we sacrifice something on the day doesn't mean that we actually have to sacrifice a piece of our culture. So we're going to have a second Christmas party. We're going to do it on December 12th. It won't be a full-fledged Christmas party, but like we're going to get a bunch of pizza and wings and stuff, and like have our own little Christmas party here with us. Because we know next week, the following week on December 19th, that Christmas party is not for us. That's for others, and we're going to go and serve. So, you know, I don't know if we'll have prizes or anything like that, but we're just going to have some fun together.
No.
But we are going to take time to share. We're sharing even our Christmas party. Why? Because we care. I'm going to let you guys split off into groups, talk about this some more, but really be thinking about it. Who might God be placing on your heart even now to share? All right? Go ahead and split off into groups, and we'll go from there.